you tell me if you have special channels of communication with both Russia and China? I haven't written my column yet, but I'm telling you and our audience more or less what he said without saying it. Once again, he gave a beautiful, flowery, metaphorical explanation in Arabic, basically saying, of course they do. Fascinating. So the big BRICS powers, they have their channels directly with the government here. That doesn't mean that they are influencing what Sana is doing, but they talk. Obviously, they talk about the Red Sea. They talk about blockade. They talk about military matters, etc. They talk about what kind of diplomatic help the Yemenis can get across the global south, which is something that they don't need because they made their own global south club, or people who, Yemen is at the forefront, at the vanguard of resistance by themselves. They don't need help from anybody else. So we are always with all these conversations and then looking at the larger picture. It's a pity we haven't had the opportunity to travel because of the war. They are afraid that if we go out on a convoy and all that, we could become a target. And they are absolutely right. But I'm sure if we have the chance to travel before we leave, I'm going to stay here until the weekend, for instance. And then we're going to have an even bigger picture, understanding the bigger picture in terms of other parts of Yemen.
The way that they're responding to the attacks on the part of the United States, how do they report on that? What do they say about it that we don't hear it from the mainstream media or the way that we are receiving the information? Is that something else that they're reporting in Yemen that we are not receiving it here?
No, what we get from those daily briefings by Yahya Sari, it's let's say these are the raw facts. For instance, they don't explain if they launch a missile against the USS Truman, for instance. They say the targets were reached and all that. They don't give details. These are military matters, of course. And don't forget that the Americans also don't talk about it. So it's open to interpretation. What happened to this missile or this battery of missiles and drones launched against the USS Truman? Nobody knows. First of all, because the Americans will never admit a hit, two hits, several hits, etc. And here they prefer to be, I would say in a sort of metaphorical vein, saying, our operation was successful, and interpret it the way you want. And when you look at the facts, we see that the Americans are absolutely terrified to have aircraft carriers in the Red Sea because they are targets, right? And when it comes to the missiles launched against Ben Gurion Airport, and the fact that the Houthis by themselves had the balls to do what the whole bloody planet could do and didn't, they installed an aerial blockade against Ben Gurion Airport. Just like that. It's amazing because they can. They have hypersonic missiles and they can hit the airport with hypersonic missiles. So this in itself is something absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it? So they don't need to advertise that they are very good, they are very capable militarily. They don't need to. The facts will prove by themselves. And the fact that now Israel is like a bunch of cockroaches, they are really terrified about the firepower of the Yemeni armed forces. And the Americans, the same thing. This whole stupid signal, leak or not leak, it was not a leak. This mega imbecile from the Atlantic, he leaked it by himself. He had access to it. and people provided him the access. And they are backdoors to Signal. Technically, they are not. Uh, Many friends of mine who are very well versed in the matter say there are no backdoors. There are. And these backdoors are CIA and MI6. So this could have come from MI6 backdoor because for their own interests and their own agenda. And obviously to go after the Trump administration. If that dialogue, those dialogues that were reproduced, if they are really true, it's a clown show. Vance, Hegseth, and Waltz talking together on Signal about how to hit Yemen. It doesn't even qualify as a clown show. It's pathetic. Pathetic. Assuming all that is true. Obviously, everybody went on denial mode, etc. So we will never know if it's true or not. But if this clown show continues like this, and they think that they can bomb Yemen because they can to send a message, according to Vance, if I'm not mistaken, they will be in for a very rude awakening. It would suffice for them to have somebody, give him a decent essay on Yemen's struggle and fight against invaders, bombers, or whatever. So they have an idea who they are up to. It's a nation of warriors, and wow, they have no idea what's going to hit them. So this is where we have Nima, a bunch of almost certified clowns launching a war on an app because they want to, because they need to send a message.
If we assume that, do they really think that the United States is trying to intimidate them, or how do you find the limitation on their part? Are they ready to fight till the end with the United
Of
States?
course, Nima, they don't care. When you have a position that is expressed with such moral clarity and such precise purpose like they do, and it's all integrated here in the government, from the spiritual leader to the political council to the structure of government here in Sana. They know exactly what they're doing, and they don't care. That they know that the backlash is going to be monstrous. It has already started. The United States of America is at war with Yemen. There's no question about that. But for them, okay, we were bombed by a coalition almost every day for what, if I'm not mistaken, 7 years or so. In the end, the bloody Saudis were like this, like rats. They say, could you please sign an armistice? You cannot intimidate him. You cannot intimidate him, Dima. And this is something for all of us decadent hedonist Westerners, or we learn a lot about the superpower of the West, the great feats of Western civilization.